Now, I know what you're thinking. Is a man about to explain women to Hollywood? Bro, I'm about to go to Oz. Now, I know what you're thinking. Is a man about to explain women to Hollywood? Yes. I'm about to explain the f*** out of women.
I don't give a shit.
According to popular culture, women are undergoing something of a revolution in terms of how they perceive femininity, gender roles, and more. Yet, when you talk to women, the vast majority still seem to want things women naturally want. Curious. Now, obviously, mileage may vary from subject to subject for each individual woman. One woman might like volleyball, another might like ballet. One woman may like Star Trek and Elden Ring, and another might like...
Hot breath caressed the small of her back, sending an exquisite thrill throughout her body as the big lizard sniffed her. Without warning, it ripped her loincloth away. Below her feet was an object which she was unable to identify. Oh no.
Is book talk okay? Women are different from one person to another, like real people. But the entertainment industry seems to want them to be something else, something more not feminine. Not male, those are bad, but something more masculine. You see this a lot in movies and television nowadays, where the female leads are often stoic and hyper-capable and stronger and faster than men who are twice their size, or even smarter and wiser, well beyond their experience level. Not to drag everyone's favorite Mary Sue punching bag back out, but a perfect example of this is Rey Skywalker. Oh, no! Rey Palpatine. Rey is a woman who was flawless, to a point where she was better at everything than everyone else, no matter how much strength or experience they possessed. Rey was so perfect, to the point of being flat as a character. Now, Rey was supposed to be a character girls would look up to. She was supposed to be an inspiration, and I get it. She was strong, competent, capable, and didn't need no man. But when the dust settled, there wasn't exactly a lot of demand for Rey. In fact, the sequel trilogy is largely reviled, even by Star Wars fans who are female. Toy manufacturers reported that merchandising sales for the sequel trilogy fell off sharply after an initial surge after Episode 7, meaning there wasn't a lot of hype. And you can generally gauge the success of a movie based on how much merchandise it sells, especially with franchises like Star Wars. And people weren't clamoring to buy any of these toys, including women. And women definitely didn't show up to save the Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser. So where were the women? Was the Force not female? I had it on good authority that it was. But Rey is one of the chief examples of this constant pattern between women in Hollywood. A rash of these kinds of characters would emerge, like Captain Marvel, the 13th Doctor, live-action Mulan, Batwoman, Ellie.
Okay, Ellie!
Are you serious right now, bro?
It seems that Hollywood really wanted women to soak up this message that they were infallible and undefeatable, but most importantly, they were better than men at everything. Infallible and undefeatable, but most importantly, they were better than men. There seemed to be this female superiority message coming from Hollywood, and that superiority couldn't be achieved unless women were willing to divorce themselves from the things that came with traditional femininity. According to Hollywood, masculinity was either comparatively weak, incompetent, or wildly toxic. On top of that, a lot of modern depictions of women have them either being wholly unattached to men, or their relationship with them is such a tertiary concern that it really isn't integral to the plot at all. And of course, this is fine if the plot calls for it, but sometimes it felt intentional to the point of being spiteful. A good example of this is the main character's dating life in She-Hulk, where the show effectively goes through a laundry list of male stereotypes, and even the one she ends up liking ends up being portrayed as a complete douchebag in the end. Hollywood kept shoving this down our throats, and it absolutely reeked of manipulation, as if they were trying to convince women that this is how they should perceive both themselves and their connection to men. Moreover, there seems to be this emphasis on being unmarried and childless equating to success and fulfillment. The message here was that happiness comes when you're aggressively independent, detached from the more instinctive parts of your femininity, and that men were opponents, even in the bounds of a relationship. But again, is this what women really want, or is this just something that people with an agenda and a platform want them to want? Because it seems to me that women are increasingly wanting the things that Hollywood is trying to push them away from. The proof was in the box office pudding. The films that pushed this independent, stoic girl boss narrative began failing left and right, and the women who were supposed to show up and watch these films didn't. And there's a pretty decent list of failed films that pushed this girl boss trope, such as 2019's Charlie's Angels, 2016's Ghostbusters, 2019's Terminator Dark Fate, 2020's Birds of Prey. And to address some of the elephants in the room, 2018's Ocean's 8 didn't do too badly, but it didn't really generate a fandom. There isn't a large segment of the population clamoring for an Ocean's 9. And then, because I can already hear the clacking of the keyboards in response, let's address Barbie. Many women showed up to watch Barbie, celebrated the movie, and gushed about it online. They praised its feminist message, loved the fact that Barbie embraced her womanhood and independence, and then went home to their husbands and boyfriends, many of whom were dragged to the movie anyway. Barbie was an incredibly successful film with a massive box office take, but I think it's important not to confuse a massive cultural movement like Barbenheimer, a heavy dose of nostalgia,
Anywhere you put them, they know just what to say.
a fun girls' night out, insanely good marketing that misled a lot of people, with the promotion of something that women actually want. For instance, the movie starts with little girls dressed in dull, drab colors playing with baby dolls, and then, upon seeing Barbie, they smash the babies as Barbie looks on smiling. Yet, the vast majority of women still want to become mothers. A 2024 IFS Wheatley Institute survey found that of women under 35, 30% already have children, 41% say they want to have children, 15% are not sure, and only 14% say they don't wish to have children. The message that the Barbie movie was trying to get across of independence being the path to empowerment and embracing your girl bosseriness was all undercut by the very women it was talking to the moment the credits were rolling. It was fun to talk about, but for women, it doesn't seem very fun to live by. But that leaves the question, what be women do wantin'? What they want most is not to be hungry.
I would eat everything in the world. You do not understand. I would eat everything twice.
As usual, the answer can be found in the market. The static top seller in fiction books for women is always romance. In fact, it's a $1.44 billion industry that's having a cultural moment thanks to things like Book Talk, where women review and suggest romance novels to other women on TikTok. Things that range from your standard love story to
But when he hits my clitoris, I cry out loudly. Oh, please, I groan. Quiet, he orders.
And it's not just books. We can look to the successes of Hollywood itself. Women tend to prefer emotionally based movies, and this includes rom-coms, tear-jerkers, and romantic fantasy. Think Titanic, The Notebook, and Twilight respectively, all of which were and still are three of the most beloved films by women even today. The Disney Princess franchise that was launched in 2000 has grossed over $45 billion, with home entertainment sales adding another $14.7 billion. Quick aside, the Disney princesses, with all their romance, charming princes, ball gowns, and dreams of happily ever after, beat out Barbie, who totals at $36 billion. Hollywood has been trying to get women to evolve past all those things that femininity gravitates towards, but when left to their own devices, women cruise past the solitary stoicism and hyper-independence and choose love and beauty. They're drawn to relationships and meet-cutes and steamy passion and fae princes with huge tracts of land. They love beautiful dresses, fashion, shiny rocks, and cute things like puppies, babies, and perfectly arranged charcuterie boards. I love that last one too, I'm not gonna lie.
He's a millennial.
Even shows like The Real Housewives of East Whereverville are built entirely around relationships. Glamorous, glitzy women navigating love, friendships, betrayals, and reconciliation. It's girl crack. Women abhor social isolation. And yet, Hollywood encourages resistance to these things that women typically like in order to embrace something that men typically do. And yet, despite years and years of Hollywood literally trying to sell that mentality and lifestyle, women still want to be women. And I think women need to hear this because Hollywood has refused to tell them. It's okay to be a woman. It's okay to want girly things. It's okay to be feminine. It's okay to not. Hollywood seems to see femininity as a problem that needs to be fixed. It sees the most natural characteristic of women as weak, and as such, it needs to be destroyed and remade into something stronger. But femininity is not weakness. It's resilience, intuition, and influence on a level I don't think Hollywood truly understands. Femininity's strength is far more quiet than masculine strength, but it's not any less strong. It can inspire fierce loyalty, heal deep wounds, and raise the civilized world both figuratively and very literally. It's the glue that holds together communities and is so powerful and inspires so much loyalty that masculinity will sacrifice itself willingly to protect it. There is nothing fragile about that. So what is the destruction of an individual woman's femininity supposed to achieve? Strength? Power? Happiness? Why is it when women embrace this Hollywood-driven idea, many of them end up feeling like they've gotten none of those things? But hey, I'm just a man on YouTube saying things from a man's perspective. But you don't have to take my word for it.
One of the primary things about this topic from a woman's perspective is that Hollywood has been making a concentrated attempt to shrug off the perceived perceptions of women, particularly the damsel in distress trope that showed up in old films and shows. Disney, just for example, has been trying to distance itself from this perceived image of its earlier princesses, like Snow White or Sleeping Beauty. But in this effort to reorientate, Hollywood has shoved women into the equally limiting girl boss trope instead, which most women really can't relate to. This still denies female characters range, it denies them personality, and importantly, it denies them relatable struggles and personal growth. While there are some ladies who won't admit it, most of us inherently know that we are the weakest sex for the most part. We do have limitations, and we absolutely cannot be men. These physical limitations don't make us worse than men by any stretch, but they do open the door for other strengths that we can make center stage. So when we do see a well-written, strong female character who does badass things, the reason women can identify with her is because, number one, she has actually had to face obstacles and grow as a person usually, but number two, we feel a sense of catharsis watching her succeed and overcome those obstacles. But this female character will also have characteristics that we can relate to. Empathy, for example, maybe she has a hard outer shell that starts to crack and fall as she learns to trust others. She's presented as a person where we can kind of self-insert to an extent. But really, even the soft, kind female characters become that for us as well. As a YouTuber on my own channel, I've talked a bunch about the issues with female self-inserts in modern media, but in this respect, I really don't think that this is a bad thing at all. And actually, I think that this is very common for a lot of female viewers, even when we try our best not to do this. And it's not that we're looking to have every element of ourselves reflected back. We don't need or want to see our exact representation, but unlike men who look at media as a sort of escape, identifying with men that they know that they could reasonably never be, women like to see a woman that they could be were it not for our real life limitations. We like to see what our lives could be like. We like to see who we could become, what is possible for us somewhere in some other world. It's why love stories resonate so much with women, because we are self-inserting. We want to be that woman who is being swept off her feet. We want to feel the same love and compassion. It's why everyday female audiences will defend these tropes and concepts, because deep down, there's absolutely nothing wrong with being loved and being in love. And most of us absolutely want to feel that way.
You know, the thing that baffles me is this idea that women weren't allowed to like media aimed towards men until recently, which has never been true. Look at Star Trek, Star Wars, The A-Team, MacGyver. Heck, Richard Dean Anderson probably brought a good chunk of his female fan base from MacGyver over to Stargate SG-1 when it premiered. As a lady who's also a Trekkie and a Star Wars fan, I never felt that I needed the franchises to cater to me as a woman because I already liked them the way they were, with strong, relatable characters, both male and female, working together. I'd rather have a genuine story that's naturally written than one that's been artificially catered to me. I don't need to see characters who happen to share similar physical traits as me in order to empathize with them or even be inspired by them. I just want to see good characters.
Women.
There you have it. Get it together, Hollywood. Give the ladies what they want. A rom-com starring a prince from another mystical land who is half monster, half man, but in all the hot ways. Give the lead a cute but not too hot look. Have her companion be cuddly, cute, and somehow diamond encrusted. And make sure that by the end of it, the prince fought something crazy to rescue her, but she also helped, and they live happily ever after. $1 billion idea right there. Stop dropping the ball, Hollywood. Am I right, ladies? Later.